Welcome to the special guest host series of the Trauma Therapist Podcast, where I'm going to be handing over the mic to some incredible guest hosts. In each episode, you'll hear fresh perspectives and unique insights to inform and inspire you, and all the while, keeping the heart of this podcast alive. So sit back and enjoy.
Well, thanks to Guy from the Trauma Therapist Podcast for inviting us to share about the Complex Trauma Training Center. It gives me an opportunity to be with two of my favorite people in the world and my partners at CTTC, Marcia Black and Stefanie Klein. Welcome.
Thank you, Brad, and thank you, Guy, for having us.
Thank you both.
Yeah, and Stefanie and myself have both been on with Guy on the Trauma Therapist Podcast, but he offered for us to come and talk a little bit about our trauma-based organization. So I thought I would start by just introducing who we are, what we do, and then Stefanie and Marcia jump in and talk about maybe how you got involved in this and what you're passionate about. So we put together the Complex Trauma Training Center because of the need that we were finding in the trainings that we were doing through NARM about ongoing mentorship, ongoing consultation, ongoing support. So not just clinical training, although that's very important, but ongoing support in our roles of being therapists. So while we're focused on complex trauma in our center, we're also very much focused on being a mentorship-based program for ongoing trainings, ongoing events, ongoing programs, and ongoing opportunities for mentorship. And all three of us are doing all of those things. We're teaching, we're providing consultations, both in group and individual format, and also mentoring hundreds of trauma therapists.
So, Brad, you mentioned NARM, which is how I met the two of you. You knew each other a little before that, but NARM is a model that was designed for the treatment and healing of complex trauma. And so at Complex Trauma Training Center, we definitely do trainings in NARM. And what we really have come to understand through years of training therapists in the NARM approach, which was created by Dr. Lawrence Heller, is that complex trauma is, of course, by definition, a complex field. And therapists who work with trauma are often working in private practice, sometimes other settings, and it can be really lonely to hold all of that by yourself. And often we don't have adequate support and mentorship in the skills that it really takes to be an effective trauma therapist. Also, there's a ton of burnout in the field because people don't have enough support. So through the Complex Trauma Training Center, we started to really focus in on what we love doing the most and also what we think is one of the most necessary things in the field in helping therapists be effective and also be able to sustain and enjoy their work in healing trauma, which is supporting the therapist.
I might add that NARM is a very sort of phenomenological approach that focuses a lot on working with clients in the here and now and really emphasizes the therapist's capacity for presence and curiosity and spaciousness. And the other thing that's come out of all of the years that we've been teaching and training in NARM is the awareness of how significant the experience of the therapist is in the quality of work beyond the NARM model, at least through probably all other therapeutic models, because they're human to human. And so we've really expanded to include some trainings that we're looking to bring in 2025 around supporting the therapist in building a relationship to their internal world in a way that will support them in that kind of phenomenological present moment work.
Yeah. So I think between the two of you, you're talking about the ways that people can enter into our organization. People can come into our NARM therapist trainings that we do. We do several a year, both online and in person. And as Marcia, you just mentioned, we're creating a new program for 2025 called the SPACE program, which we coined that because we're working with helping therapists develop increasing space on 3 levels of their experience: personally, internally, as they sit in the role of a therapist to have more spaciousness and ease inside themselves. And then the second level is interpersonally, so in the relationship with their clients, to have more space, not have to feel so pressured or reactive. And then the third one that we don't talk that much about in psychology is the transpersonal space, or something that opens up larger than just two individual people. That those of us that are interested in spirituality or transpersonal psychology, we know that when you do trauma healing, it can open up what they call post-traumatic growth, which can be very significant changes on multiple levels, including the spiritual level. So the acronym of SPACE is supporting presence, awareness, connection, and embodiment. And that's really what this program's all about. It's about helping therapists learn more about how they can create those capacities within themselves. We're not going to be teaching specific skills. People will be coming with all sorts of different backgrounds and clinical models that they're going to use. But we're really excited. We don't see a lot of programs out there that are really primarily focused on helping therapists develop more of this inner development of their internal world to create greater sustainability, like Stefanie, you said, in our career, but also just greater presence, awareness, connection, and embodiment.
Yeah, I think, Brad, you used the term before, inside out learning, to describe sort of this SPACE program. And the inspiration, a lot of the inspiration came from the mentorship model that we've created, which is really not about reinforcing skills or telling therapists what to do in this situation. But we've been noticing that therapists will come to us with some of their most complicated clients. And what we really start with is what's evoked inside of them when they're working with this person. What are they feeling? What are they experiencing? These are things that many of us have learned through our training to kind of get rid of or get out of the way. And what we've found in the way that we invite this and even prioritize it in the consultation process is that it's incredibly important information. It's very informative. It also helps us be more in connection with ourselves, which then allows us to be more attuned to the person sitting across from ourselves. So more in our humanity, which invites more of the client being able to connect to their humanity and more of an intersubjective human process between us. And so that really inspired us to create a program where that was really the focus and the priority, to lean into that space.
I'm thinking about the term countertransference, which in many programs is thought of kind of as a bad thing. We're not supposed to have countertransference. We want to get rid of it. And in our program, we're going the opposite direction. We want to welcome our participants to bring all of that information that we have experiential opportunities for them to make a relationship to what's going on inside of them, that they can show up more or use that experience to understand what might be going on between them and the clients in a different way. So we're really inviting therapists to bring all of their experience that they notice happens with them, with their clients, or before they see their clients, or after they see their clients, as being really the grist for the mill that we want to work with, much more than trying to figure out skills for them with their clients.
Yeah.
One of my intentions in supporting people in this program is for them to be able to enjoy their work more, to feel more of their aliveness in their work. Because I believe that in any really good therapy, the therapist's growth will parallel that of the client. And we really want to support people engaging in their work in a way that they get to feel their own aliveness, their own humanity, to not leave themselves out of the work, but to be able to include themselves in the work in a way that they feel the level of satisfaction and enjoyment that we should feel if we're going to be doing this work every day.
One of the things that the three of us have talked a lot about is, kind of from the inside out, from our own experience, both kind of in our own personal experience and also the way that we've been supporting a lot of therapists over the years is kind of learning about how we kind of collapse our own space. And so, Stefanie, I know you've talked about this before, but in terms of our intention for the space program that we're developing, do you want to talk a little bit more about how complex trauma collapses space and how we're attempting to support that, the opening of that?
Yeah, I mean, really, as a brilliant adaptive survival strategy, we often learn very young when we're facing early adversity and different failures in our environment to meet our core needs. We learn to collapse ourselves, to shrink ourselves, to get rid of parts of ourselves, to disconnect from what's the most true and authentic and depthful inside of ourselves. And we do this for our own survival. It ensures that we can keep going, that we can grow and develop. But in later life, that leads to pretty significant disconnection patterns, disconnection from ourselves in ways that then start to drive suffering and start to drive symptoms and behaviors that are what people come into therapy for. And so, even just thinking about like, why did we become therapists in the first place? For many of us, we developed these amazing skills to attune to other people, in part out of these strategies that have to do with disconnecting from our own needs. And, in a group of therapists, you often find a lot of people who relate to being disconnected from their own needs, but very, very attuned to the needs of others. So again, this program brings in all of that, all of those underlying dynamics in working with ourselves as therapists so that we can better support our clients in these same areas.
Yeah. And Marcia, I know you've talked about like the ways that we have done or are trying to do our own work around this process. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, this has been probably our first from the ground up creative project. And one of the things that has really meant a lot to me is that in doing so, we've really made an effort to, I guess you would say, walk the talk, which is to take time and give space for us to look at what are the strategies that we might bring or the capacities we might bring that supports our creative collaboration or gets in the way of it. And I already feel like I've grown a tremendous amount as I've come to notice what my strategies are that come up when I'm pressuring myself that I'm supposed to create something or contribute, and what supports me in being able to sit back and feel access to the creativity that comes up more spaciously when I let go of some of those patterns. So I feel excited that what we're also doing with ourselves as we build this program is what we want to also invite our participants to do with themselves in the program, which is to be in relationship to themselves and each other with more humility, more authenticity, more vulnerability, and hopefully more capacity for the deep growth that I think we all want. Even though we may start out wanting to help cure or fix other people, part of what we come to is recognizing that, really a lot of it is just being able to do our own work, and then we can hold the space for other people to do theirs.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this quote from Viktor Frankl about between stimulus and response, there's space, and in that space lies our freedom. And I think we've touched moments of that in our process, and we're super excited to share that with others. Yeah, so we know people are really busy and there's lots of different opportunities for training. And, as people are kind of feeling out what maybe you're interested in developing for your career, just checking our website out, our social media. We also have a podcast, Transforming Trauma, where we invite guests, and sometimes the three of us are on there to also share about some of the different trainings and programs. But, between the three of us, we've been in therapist for a long, long time. So any parting words from Stefanie or Marcia about, people that are considering training with us or coming into our programs or getting support from us?
And I'm also thinking about the importance of professional community. And, like I said earlier, this can be a lonely and isolating profession. And it can sometimes feel like a lonely and isolating world. So we need to kind of all be in this together. And one of the things that we're trying to build with CTTC is sort of a home base for trauma therapists, a place where they have a professional community and they feel like we all are in it together, with the intention of making the world a less traumatic place and, starting with exploring that from the inside out.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had the great fortune of being with these people for years now, and just such incredible, passionate people that are dedicating their lives to healing trauma, and also really showing the humility and the courage to come, no matter if they're new as therapists, maybe still in graduate school or internship, or they've been in the field like those of the three of us for a long time, just continuing to deepen, continuing to receive support and provide support. It's this bi-directional supportive community that we're trying to create. So, we're excited about moving into this next year and offering the different trainings and programs. So if people are interested, please connect with us. And it's been fun to spend time with the two of you here. And we'll hopefully see some of you all soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.